Hi, guys, and good morning and welcome to this week's episode of Global News Review. My name is Ola. I'm the founder of the Money with Club, and in this session, every week, we talk about global news, global African and Nigerian news that impact your pocket. So I will encourage you to stick around, subscribe to our channel, and watch out episodes every week. Basically, what we try to do is pocket and what you should be doing differently, right? And so, if you realize that you have gotten caught in the economic drama because you didn't have an idea of what was happening, we are your plug. And anyways, let's get right into it. The first news is that Meta threatens to leave Nigeria. We're covering global news, and Meta, the owners of Facebook and Instagram, have been under a lot of pressure globally, right? 2 weeks ago, we talked about their pressure, the pressure they were receiving from the EU. And then this week, what happened was that they had gotten some fines last year in Nigeria, but they appealed at the Federal High Court, and the ruling came out last week that no, that fine should be upheld and they should pay the fine. Now, what does this mean, right? So Facebook is saying this makes no sense, right? You can't tell me that I need to get approvals before I use Nigerian data outside of Nigeria. Like that doesn't make sense. That's what they're saying. I'm just repeating them. Don't quote me. um so they got three fines in total that amounted to about $290 million. And the real question is, and Facebook is saying that, see, this doesn't make any sense. The Federal High Court has said they should enforce or they should pay the fine by June this year. And so they're like, they'd rather exit, shut down the Nigerian access to Facebook than actually pay that fine, right? For us in Nigeria, the question is, what impact will this have? Now, bearing in mind also, there's a lot of pushback globally on big tech, right? Facebook has been at the forefront of that pushback. Apple got their own fines recently, in the EU region. And now they are coming to say they want to, may be forced to leave Nigeria, that Nigerians don't have access to Facebook and Instagram. Of course, they didn't mention WhatsApp, right? Nigerians that might be forced to not have access to Facebook and Instagram if the courts insist that they. Now, what could that mean for you if you are a business, hence largely on Facebook for your business to thrive, that your clients are there? I'm sure you'd have heard before that you should have set up your email marketing already. Like you should have your clients' emails, you should have their data, their phone numbers, right? Because if this happens, it will be major, like really, really major, really, really major, right? A lot of businesses, a lot of influencers, a lot of all that will be impacted. Like how many people can literally be using VPN to access Instagram? Right, we know that Instagram takes so much data. So if you are going to use VPN, do you know how much data you're going to be using? Think about it, right? So it's a real risk, right? So we should keep an eye out for it. If you haven't already and you're a business person in Nigeria, you actually should start building your email list from now. It's quite a short notice because it's effective in June. And if they decide to shut down, or if they decide to threaten Nigeria by just giving them a taste of what could come, like just shut it down for one day, no access, everybody will start shouting. That could come. But I mean, you don't need those disruptions for your business. So you should have omni channels that you are working with to get your clients or get access to your clients, and your clients should know that you are reachable across different platforms, right? So if you don't have a TikTok account, this is the time. If you don't have whatever it is that you could use to access your clients, that is just not Facebook and Instagram, be on the lookout. This could be major. Now on to what's it called? Oh, see, I see some people saying hi. Hi, E. Thank you for joining in. Thank you so much. And then off to, let me see. Okay, let's talk about Nigerian open banking. So there's news that the central bank has announced officially that the open banking policy is going to be effective from August this year. Now, what is open banking? Open banking literally is a law or a policy that empowers Nigerians to own their own data. So even though I bank with any random bank, let's call it Bank A, before now, my data in Bank A, I can't share with Bank B, even though it's my data, right? Especially like if it's credit data, then it goes to the credit bureau, that's fine. But if it's my spending habits, my investment patterns, my every other thing that I do that it doesn't have direct links with credit, I can't share it with anybody else. Now, what the open banking thing is that it's saying that I am the owner of my data. Before now, it was every bank that I bank with owns the data that I created there and knows my spending habits. Now, to put it into reality, right? If you had separate bank accounts and one bank account was for spending, utilities, blah, 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 and another bank account was for investing, and you go to the bank that you use for utilities, and maybe at the end of every month that bank account goes to like 10K or something because you just spend, and you want to get a credit from them, they would say that you don't have, your numbers don't look good, right? But guess what? You have another bank account somewhere that all you do is pile up money and it's all investments you are doing. What open banking does is that it gives you permission, gives you the power to connect those two banks together, right? So you can actually, and then where you've seen this happen before is if you own a US bank account, you can connect your two bank accounts, meaning that you can be in Chase and move money from Bank of America like that, or you can connect your Wise, the thing that allows you to connect Wise to your bank account or PayPal to your bank account. That's open banking. So what it does is that it brings in competition. You are not the only, it's not just your bank that has that data. You can give it to somebody else to use it to provide the best service for you. You can use it to get better profiling of your financial situation. Now, what are the real use cases? Because it might actually sound like theoretical, but simple things like um, aggregating all your investment into one dashboard, right? Or being able to have a full picture of all that you are doing, your saving, your investing, your spending, where your money goes to. So all that whole ecosystem on one dashboard. What you literally do is that if there's one app that wants to congregate everything, you give that app access to all the different things, including your asset managers, blah, blah, blah. And you can have a dashboard of all your investments that are under those regulated entities. What does that do for you also? Another thing that where it can work is if you are looking for credit, right? You can actually shop across board. You can open accounts overnight, like in a split second. Why? Because once you grant access, they verified all your details, blah, 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 history, everything they can see at once. So they can verify and validate you immediately. That's what open banking does. And so it's coming up in June. I think it is major. I think it will change the landscape of businesses, of financial transactions in Nigeria. So it is major. Everyone should look out for it. From and think about the use cases that will benefit them and actually take advantage of it. Now, what's the risk? The major risk, of course, is cybersecurity. The good thing is that it is within an ecosystem, meaning that anyone that has access to it, any yes, it applies to asset management companies too. Yes, it does. Thank you, Jude, for asking that question. It applies to asset management companies too. What I mean by it applies to asset management companies is that the asset management companies would plug in. It's going to be connected via APIs, right? And they would have to meet CBN security requirements, regulatory requirements, blah, blah, blah. Of course, they're not going to be licensed by CBN. That is not happening. But they will plug into with that API, and you can actually set up an auto debit from your bank account that will automatically cause them to invest in maybe a stock or whatever for you. Like those kind of auto things can begin to happen. Like the way you would, it's just wild. Like these ideas and what could come out of it is just wild. But understand that everyone, the control is that everyone that every company that you can what's it called, give access to must be part of that ecosystem. I hope you understand that. And that's where the security comes from, because you wouldn't go through checks, blah, blah, blah. It's not like every random Joe would have access to open banking. No, you would meet some very tight regulatory requirements before you can. And once you can name names, I can literally go into GTB app and then say connect with other institutions and you see a drop down of financial institutions there, the same way you would see it in your Chase or your Bank of America app. That's what open banking is bringing to you. So this is major. And Nigeria is the first African country to actually implement it. So big ups to Nigeria. In the midst of all the drama, we are making little progress, especially with the central bank. And I think this is actually major. We should all look out for it. Thank you. Thank you. If you have any other questions around it, please ask in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer. And the final news for today, because today is quite short, UN relocates staff to Kenya. Now, what's happening with President Trump coming in? There have been major budget cuts to major financing cuts to the United Nations. So all the funding they used to get from United States has dropped significantly. No more big brother moves. Now, in order to stay afloat, because they are still a significant agency globally, and they can't just pull the plug. One of the things that we decided to do is to move to cheaper regions, right? So they are moving people, maybe people are working virtually and having to move people that need to work physically to, they're moving a lot of people to Nairobi. Now, this was announced earlier in the year, about February, but this week it came up because people are actually now having to move, right? And so we are seeing the real impacts of political decisions, of policy changes on real people's lives. Because the numbers we saw, I can't verify, but about 800 people are being moved. Just think about 800 staff. I'm moving 800 staff, and let's assume that they would have partners, they would have children. So let's just double that amount or even triple that number of people that are going to be moving somewhere or the other around the world. Think of the relocation cost, think of the emotional pull and all that, right? Think of people that are in final years of some kind of exam or the other. Think of all that impact. It is real. And it's just because someone was voted in as president and he has decided to take a turn in a different direction. Now, what's the economic impact for all those places? So, like, if you understand, like in Nigeria, for example, Abuja is majorly funded by the government. When I say the government, because there are civil servants there, um, because everything is centered around the government, there's an economy around it. Now, when you are moving people, for example, from a Switzerland, from a Geneva, from a New York, and you're pulling out people like that, what happens is that there are sub businesses that are thriving on that economy, on that ecosystem that will be affected and that will be impacted and that cannot move to Nairobi with them, right? So there's a lot of economic impact. There's that multiplier effect that we also need to be aware of. So some countries will be losing and one will be gaining. Nairobi, Kenya. Now, where would they be gaining? Their real estate, there'll be pure demand for real estate, right? For good quality real estate, for infrastructure, for good schools, for all those things will be on heavy demand, like heavy demand right now, because there's an influx of people in a short period of time, right? There'll be need for people who buy new cars, people who the transport system, their road network, the malls, all things, people with cash, liquid cash, like that. The whole budget of funding their office in Nairobi is less than the cost of coffee in New York. Their total budget for coffee, like it was just banned, right? But just to show you the kind of cut that the kind of cost cutting that is coming up, right? And how it will impact the budget. So it's not just sentiment, it's that we need to cut the budget. Now, for Nairobi, all these things come with a growth in economy, right? They would actually grow their economy. The prayer is that the locals are positioned to provide the services that will benefit these people and make money off it. If you still find that offshore individuals or non-residents or foreigners are still the one providing those services, then while there will be a growth, it will not trickle down. Maybe to trickle down in terms of tax, but they don't even pay taxes. Do you understand? Because they're diplomats. So it's good for Kenya. It's also good PR for them. It's actually showing the impact of the PR work that Kenya has done over time. And why do I call it PR work? A lot of times, right, we know that Kenya is not necessarily in a good economic state, as with most countries in the world. Let's be honest, right? But what Kenya has done, they've positioned themselves mentally as the country to come to in Africa for any foreigner. They have positioned themselves mentally. So when you are thinking of where to go, you are thinking Kenya, you're thinking Nairobi. When you are, and then also there's also that part where before now, United Nations had a good positioning in Nairobi. And so it's like, okay, if we're going to move to Africa, where should we move to? And Nairobi just for it. So you see this whole PR image, what people see, how people see you globally, it matters a lot. And so we want to say congratulations to Kenya. Now for us in the club, for us in the club, we actually invested in property in Nairobi. It was off plan. So we started the journey in 2023 and we closed out in December 2024. So it was particularly exciting. And I mean, we say this all the time. When you do an investment, you never really know how it is going to click. You never really know how the game is going to change to favor you. You just do and hope, right? Because in everything, there is a risk. We know that Kenya was positioning, but nobody would have known that Trump was going to cut the budget for UN. It has not happened before. But with that, we know that the value of properties in Nairobi is going to go up. And then if you have property that you invested in peace, a studio apartment, a whatever, right? A two-bedder in Nairobi, guess what? Even if UN doesn't take your own property, because they've taken all the ones that are available, people will now come and look for you. Do you understand? That is how investment happens a lot of times. And even we don't even need to talk. Just with this news, understand that if you come to me saying you want to buy my property, I'm going to times whatever it's X and wait for you. Do you understand? That's literally how it works, right? So if you haven't started investing, you need to start. You just need to start because you never honestly know. And I've seen this happen so many times where you just do something simply because, oh, it makes sense. We'll give it time, blah, blah, blah. And something happens and it just blows up in front of you, right? It happens so many times. So if you haven't started investing, you need to start. If you want to, oh, another thing to announce, just in case you're interested, we're opening up the club because we actually shut down to taking members. We open up the club next week. So if you haven't already, let me put up the news, put up our website, go there and join the wait list because we'll share the link to the wait list, right? um Join the wait list, share with a friend, be a good friend and share with someone, right? Even if you are not thinking about it. And also sign up to our newsletter, our Substack newsletter. If you're not a member of the club, it will be quite valuable for you and all. But most importantly, do not forget that you can't outsource your health and your finances. You always have to engage. Nobody can go to the gym on your behalf. Nobody can. What else? What else can anybody do for you? Nobody can eat vegetables and you be healthy. The same way nobody can go to the gym. The same way nobody you can't outsource your health and your finances. I'm almost talking too fast for myself. Have a beautiful weekend ahead. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comment section. Please share with a friend and see you next week. Bye. Oh, I see somebody. Let me just see. Thank you, Micah. Thank you. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye.